First contact. Captain Elena Reyes stood on the bridge of the UES Horizon, her eyes fixed on the swirling nebula that filled the view screen. The human exploration fleet's finest ship had been probing the edges of known space for months, seeking new life and new civilizations. So far, they'd found plenty of the former and none of the latter. "Sensor suite complete, Captain," announced Lieutenant Zora Chen from her station. "No signs of artificial structures or transmissions." Elena sighed. "Another beautiful but empty system. Very well. Prepare for our next jump." A piercing alarm cut through the air, causing everyone on the bridge to jump. "Proximity alert," shouted Ensign Thomas Ortiz. "Something big just dropped out of FTL right on top of us." Elena's training kicked in instantly. Shields up. Evasive maneuvers. The horizon banked hard, narrowly avoiding a massive shape that hurtled past them. As the ship stabilized, Elena got her first good look at the newcomer. It was unlike anything she'd ever seen. The creature, and it was clearly alive, was easily twice the size of the horizon. Its body was covered in iridescent scales that seemed to shift between deep purple and midnight black. Multiple limbs ended in wickedly curved claws, and a long, sinuous neck supported a head dominated by glowing yellow eyes. "My God," whispered Commander Jack Harper, Elena's first officer. "What is that thing?" Before anyone could answer, the creature wheeled around with impossible speed and grace. Its maw opened, revealing rows of dagger-like teeth, and it let out a roar that shook the horizon to its core. "Evasive pattern Delta," Elena ordered. "Weapons online, but hold fire unless I give the order." The horizon danced through space, barely staying ahead of the creature's lunges. Elena's mind raced. This was clearly a sapient being, but it showed no signs of using technology. Was it some kind of space-dwelling life form, or something even stranger? "Captain," Zora's voice was tense. "I'm picking up a transmission. It's coming from the creature." Elena's eyebrows shot up. On speakers, a cacophony of screeches and growls filled the bridge, making several crew members wince. But underneath the animal sounds, Elena could hear something else, a pattern, a rhythm that hinted at language. "Run it through the universal translator," she ordered. "See if we can make any sense of it." For several tense minutes, the horizon continued its desperate evasion while the computer worked. Finally, a halting mechanical voice emerged from the speakers. "Intruders. Leave our hunting grounds. Or be consumed." Elena's mind whirled. This creature, as alien as it appeared, was intelligent and capable of communication, but it clearly saw them as prey or invaders. She had to find a way to change that perception. "Open a channel," she said. "I'm going to try talking to it." "Channel open," Zora confirmed. Elena took a deep breath. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the United Earth Ship Horizon. We come in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. We mean you no harm and apologize for any intrusion into your territory." There was a long pause. The creature ceased its attacks, hanging motionless in space as it seemed to consider her words. Then the translated voice came again. "Tiny creatures claim peace, but all fear us, all flee or fight." Elena's heart raced. This was her chance. "We don't want to flee or fight. We want to understand, to learn. Will you speak with us?" Another pause, longer this time. Elena could feel the tension on the bridge, every crew member holding their breath. Curious, the creature finally responded. "Never encountered your kind before. You interest us." A collective sigh of relief swept through the bridge. Elena allowed herself a small smile. "We're interested in you as well. Perhaps we could." Her words were cut off as the ship suddenly lurched violently. "We're caught in some kind of energy field," Thomas shouted. "It's pulling us towards the creature." Elena's mind raced. Had this all been a trick? Were they about to be devoured by this cosmic predator? "Full reverse thrusters," she ordered. Divert all power to shields. The Horizon's engines screamed in protest as they fought against the inexorable pull. Elena watched in growing horror as they drew closer and closer to the creature's massive form. Just as it seemed they were about to impact, everything went dark. The view screen, the consoles, even the emergency lighting, all dead. For a moment, there was only silence and darkness. Then, gradually, Elena became aware of a soft, pulsing glow. As her eyes adjusted, she realized it was coming from all around them. They were inside the creature. Systems slowly came back online, and Elena's jaw dropped at what the sensors revealed. They were in some kind of organic chamber, surrounded by living tissue that pulsed with bioluminescence and strange energies. Status report, she managed to croak out. Hull integrity holding, Jack responded, his voice filled with wonder. Atmosphere, it's breathable out there, Captain, and I'm picking up dozens of life signs, smaller creatures, similar to the big one. Elena's mind reeled at the implications. They hadn't just encountered a new alien species. They'd stumbled upon an entire ecosystem of space-dwelling intelligent life. Captain, Zara said hesitantly, we're receiving another transmission. I think they want us to come out. Elena looked around at her crew. She saw fear in their eyes, but also excitement and curiosity, the very things that had driven humanity to the stars. She straightened her uniform and set her jaw. Well then, she said with a grim smile, let's not keep our hosts waiting. Prepare an away team. We're about to make history. As the crew scrambled to prepare, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change. Humanity had dreamed of first contact for centuries, but no one had ever imagined it quite like this. The Horizon hung suspended in the living chamber, a tiny island of technology in an ocean of alien biology. And somewhere out there, the cosmic predator waited, no longer a mindless beast, but a potential key to unlocking the greatest mysteries of the universe. Elena took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever came next. One thing was certain, the true adventure was only just beginning, the capture. As Captain Elena Reyes led her away team through the airlock, she felt a mix of trepidation and exhilaration. The organic chamber pulsed with an otherworldly light, casting strange shadows across her team's environmentally sealed suits. Stay alert, she said over the comm. We don't know what to expect. They had barely taken a dozen steps when the floor beneath them began to ripple and shift. Before anyone could react, a portion of it rose up, forming a living platform that lifted them off their feet. Remain calm, Elena ordered, though her own heart was racing. This seems to be their way of transporting us. The living elevator carried them through winding passages, each more fantastical than the last. Bioluminescent creatures scurried along the walls, and strange, ethereal music seemed to emanate from the very air around them. Finally, they emerged into a vast chamber. Dozens of the smaller predators lined the walls, their glowing eyes fixed on the humans. And at the center, dwarfing everything else, was the massive creature they had encountered in space. A deep, rumbling voice filled their minds, bypassing their suits' communications entirely. Welcome, tiny curiosities. You have entered the domain of the Vorax. I am Zokan, apex hunter of the seventh brood. Elena swallowed hard, then stepped forward. I am Captain Elena Reyes of Earth. We thank you for your hospitality, Zokan. We come seeking knowledge and peaceful exchange. A sound like grinding boulders filled the air. Laughter, Elena realized with a start. Peace. Zokan's mental voice dripped with amusement. We know nothing of peace, little ones. We are the terror that stalks the void, the nightmare that lesser species whisper about in the dark. Yet you intrigue us. Before Elena could respond, one of the smaller Vorax lunged forward with blinding speed. Lieutenant Zara Chen let out a startled cry as she was snatched up in its jaws. No, Elena shouted, reaching for her weapon. But instead of crunching down, the Vorax gently deposited Zara on a raised platform. Its claws deftly removed her helmet, exposing her to the chamber's atmosphere. Zara gasped, then took a tentative breath. I can breathe, she said, amazement clear in her voice. The air, it's fine. Jokan's massive head lowered until one enormous eye was level with Elena. You see, we could have devoured you at any moment, yet here you stand, unharmed. Tell us, tiny Elena, what makes your kind different? Why do you not flee or attack like all the others? Elena's mind raced. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the galaxy. She thought of all the stories of human ingenuity, of overcoming impossible odds, of turning enemies into allies. We are explorers, she said, her voice growing stronger with each word. We seek to understand, not to conquer. Where others see only monsters, we see potential friends. You may be predators, but we believe you can be more. There was a long, tense silence. Then, to everyone's shock, Jokan began to shrink. His massive form contracted until he stood only slightly taller than Elena herself, though still unmistakably alien. Interesting, he said, his mental voice now tinged with genuine curiosity. Perhaps it is time we learned some new tricks. Come, little humans, show us what you can do. Zokan's mental voice was troubled. Your presence here, it changes things. The other broods will not understand. They will see it as weakness. Elena's brow furrowed. What do you mean? Our society is based on strength, Jokan explained. To show mercy, to cooperate. Many will see it as a betrayal of our nature. A chill ran down Elena's spine as she realized the precarious situation they were in. Their presence could spark a civil war among the Vorax, with potentially catastrophic consequences for the galaxy. Then we need to prove that cooperation can make you stronger, Elena said, an idea forming in her mind. Jokan, would you be willing to come aboard our ship, to learn from us as we learn from you? The Vorax leader's eyes widened. You would trust one of us on your vessel. Elena nodded firmly. Trust has to start somewhere, and I believe this could be the key to a new era for both our peoples. Jokan was silent for a long moment, his form shifting rapidly as he considered. Finally, he stabilized, shrinking down to roughly human size. Very well, Elena of Earth. I will accept your offer. But know this, if this is a trick, if you betray us, there will be nowhere in this galaxy you can hide from our wrath. Elena extended her hand, a very human gesture of agreement. To her surprise, Jokan mimicked the action, his clawed appendage gently grasping hers. No tricks, she said sullenly. Only the chance for something extraordinary. As they prepared to return to the horizon, Elena couldn't help but feel a mix of excitement and trepidation. They had come seeking new life and new civilizations. Now they were bringing one of the galaxy's most feared predators onto their ship. It was risky, potentially disastrous, but it was also the essence of what humanity stood for, the courage to reach out, to understand, to transform fear into friendship. As the living elevator began to carry them back to the airlock, Elena caught Jokan studying her intently. You truly believe you can tame us? He asked, a hint of challenge in his mental voice. Elena smiled. Tame? No, but I believe we can show you a different way to be strong. And who knows? Maybe we'll surprise you. The adventure was far from over. In fact, Elena realized it was only just beginning. Understanding the beast. The mood aboard the UES Horizon was tense as Captain Elena Reyes led Jokan through the airlock. Crew members lined the corridors, a mix of fear and fascination on their faces as they watched the Vorax leader pass by. Your vessel is cramped, Jokan observed, his mental voice tinged with discomfort. Elena nodded. It's designed for humans, I'm afraid, but we'll do our best to accommodate you. They had converted one of the larger cargo bays into makeshift quarters for Jokan, reinforcing the walls and installing advanced containment fields, just in case. As they entered the bay, Elena could see Jokan visibly relax, his form expanding slightly in the larger space. This will suffice, he said, examining the area. Now, tiny Elena, How do you propose to begin this cultural exchange? Over the next few days, the horizon became a flurry of activity. Scientists and xenobiologists clamored for the chance to study Zokan, while linguistics experts worked tirelessly to improve their understanding of the Vorax's complex mental communication. Elena found herself spending hours with Zokan, acting as both diplomat and teacher. She introduced him to human history, art, and philosophy, watching with fascination as the fearsome predator grappled with new ideas. "Your kind has such strange notions," Zokan mused one day, after a particularly intense discussion about human ethics. "You speak of cooperation and mutual benefit, yet your history is filled with conflict." Elena nodded, a rueful smile on her face. "We're not perfect, Zokan, but we strive to be better. That's what sets us apart, the ability to recognize our flaws and work to overcome them." As the days passed, small breakthroughs began to accumulate. Dr. Aisha Patel, the ship's chief xenobiologist, made a startling discovery about Vorax physiology. "It's incredible, Captain," she explained, her eyes shining with excitement. "The Vorax aren't just shapeshifters, they're capable of adapting their entire biological structure on a cellular level. They can potentially survive in almost any environment." This revelation led to a series of experiments, with Zokan demonstrating his species' adaptability. The crew watched in awe as he altered his form to withstand extreme temperatures, pressure changes, and even exposure to vacuum. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Tensions flared when Ensign Mike Collins, still traumatized from the initial encounter, lashed out at Zokan during a routine examination. "You're nothing but a monster," Collins shouted, backing away in fear. "How can we trust you won't just eat us all in our sleep?" Zokan's form rippled, growing larger as his eyes blazed with anger. For a moment, it seemed violence was inevitable. But then, to everyone's surprise, Zokan shrank back down, his mental voice calm but firm. "I could destroy you with a thought, tiny one," he said. "But I choose not to. Is that not the trust your captain speaks of?" The incident was a turning point. It showed both the humans and Zokan that change was possible, that old instincts could be overcome. As weeks turned into months, the relationship between the Horizon's crew and their Vorax guest deepened. Zokan began to show a surprising aptitude for human technology, his shape-shifting abilities allowing him to interface with systems in unique ways. One evening, Elena found Zokan in the ship's arboretum, his form stretched out among the plants, basking in the artificial sunlight. "You seem content," she observed, taking a seat nearby. Zokan's mental voice was thoughtful. "I am changing, Elena. Your ways, your ideas, they awaken something in me, something I never knew existed." Elena smiled. "That's called growth, Zokan. It's what we humans do best." But their progress was about to face its greatest test. As Elena prepared for bed that night, an urgent message came through from Earth Command. "Captain Reyes," Admiral Chen's hologram flickered to life in her quarters. "We've received disturbing reports. It seems word of your guest has spread. Several alien species are demanding we turn the Vorax over to them for trial. They're calling it a war criminal." Elena's blood ran cold. She had known this might happen, but not so soon. "What are your orders, sir?" she asked, dreading the answer. Admiral Chen's face was grim. "For now, maintain your current course, but be prepared. If diplomatic efforts fail, you may be ordered to surrender the Vorax. The needs of the many, Captain. Remember that." As the hologram faded, Elena sank onto her bed, her mind racing. They had made so much progress, come so far. Could it all be undone by fear and old hatreds? She thought of Zokan, of the changes she had seen in him, of the potential for a new understanding between species that had always been enemies. No, she decided, she wouldn't let it end like this. Somehow, she would find a way to show the galaxy what she had learned, that even the most fearsome predator could become an ally, given the chance. As she drifted off to sleep, Elena's last thoughts were of the challenges ahead. The real test was just beginning, and the fate of not just Zokan, but potentially peaceful relations with an entire species hung in the balance. Little did she know, events were already in motion that would push her crew, and their newfound Vorax ally to the very limits of trust, courage, and understanding. Galactic tensions. The following weeks aboard the UES Horizon were a whirlwind of diplomatic chaos. Captain Elena Reyes found herself juggling increasingly hostile communications from various alien species, all demanding the surrender of Zhokan. The Vorax have terrorized our sectors for millennia. The Sinfar ambassador screeched during one particularly tense video conference. They are monsters, incapable of change. Your misguided attempts at diplomacy endanger us all. Elena maintained her composure, even as she felt the weight of the galaxy pressing down on her shoulders. Ambassador, I understand your concerns, but I assure you, what we discovered about the Vorax could change everything. We just need more time. But time was running out. Reports came in of alien fleets mobilizing, preparing for potential conflict. The Horizon found itself becoming the focal point of a galactic powder keg. Zhokan, for his part, seemed torn between his old nature and the new perspectives he'd gained. Elena often found him brooding in his quarters, his form shifting restlessly. Perhaps they are right, he mused one evening, his mental voice heavy with doubt. Perhaps we Vorax are incapable of true change. Elena shook her head firmly. No, I've seen the progress you've made, Zhokan. You're proof that change is possible. We just need to find a way to show the rest of the galaxy. An opportunity presented itself sooner than expected. A distress signal reached the Horizon, coming from a nearby system. A colony ship, carrying refugees from a war-torn world, had suffered a catastrophic engine failure and was drifting into a dense asteroid field. We're the only ship close enough to help, Commander Jack Harper reported. But that asteroid field, it's too dense for our shuttles to navigate safely. Elena's eyes lit up with an idea. She turned to Zhokan. Your ability to adapt to extreme environments, could you withstand the vacuum and impacts out there? Zhokan's form rippled with excitement. Easily. But why? Because, Elena said with a grin, we're about to show the galaxy what a Vorax can really do when it chooses to help instead of hunt. The plan was risky, but Elena knew it was their best chance. As the Horizon approached the stricken colony ship, they'd broadcast their intentions on all frequencies. Then, with cameras rolling, Zhokan stepped into the airlock. The entire crew held their breath as the outer doors opened. Zhokan's form shimmered, growing larger and more streamlined. With a powerful push, he launched himself into space. What followed was a display of agility and power that left even the Horizon's crew in awe. Zhokan weaved through the asteroid field with impossible grace, using his adapted limbs to push dangerous rocks aside. When he reached the colony ship, he latched onto its hull, using his shape-shifting abilities to seal breaches and stabilize the craft. For hours, Zhokan worked tirelessly, ferrying supplies and even injured colonists between the ships. The Horizon's comm systems were flooded with messages from astonished observers across the sector. When it was finally over, and the colony ship was safely docked with the Horizon, Elena met Zhokan in the airlock. To her surprise, the Vorax leader's mental voice was filled with an emotion she'd never sensed from him before: joy. I helped them, Zhokan said, his form rippling with excitement. I saved lives instead of taking them. It feels good. Elena smiled, placing a hand on his shifting surface. That's what we've been trying to show you, Zhokan. The strength that comes from protecting others, not preying on them. The footage of Zhokan's heroic actions spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Overnight, the narrative began to shift. Where before there had been only fear and hatred of the Vorax, now there was curiosity and even admiration. But not everyone was convinced. Hardliners among various species still called for Zhokan's surrender, arguing that one good deed couldn't erase eons of terror. The situation came to a head when a coalition of alien warships arrived in the system, demanding the horizon turn over Zokan or face destruction. Elena stood on the bridge, facing down the fleet of ships that dwarfed the horizon. Zokan stood beside her, his form tense, but resolute. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the UES Horizon," she broadcast to the assembled fleet. "We will not surrender Zokan. He is under our protection, and more importantly, he has proven himself an ally to all sentient life." The alien commander's voice crackled over the comm. "You leave us no choice, human. We cannot risk the safety of the galaxy for your misguided experiment. Prepare to be boarded." As the alien ships moved into attack formation, Elena felt a moment of doubt. Had she pushed too far? Was she risking everything, her ship, her crew, perhaps even galactic peace, for one reformed predator? But then she felt Zokan's presence in her mind, no longer alien and frightening, but comforting and resolute. "Whatever happens, Elena," he said, "know that you have changed not just me, but the future of my entire species. We stand with you." Elena straightened her uniform and faced the viewscreen, ready to face whatever came next. The true test of everything they had worked for was about to begin. As the alien ships closed in, Elena realized that this moment would define not just the fate of the Vorax, but humanity's place in the galactic community. It was time to show the universe what humans did best, turning enemies into allies and finding hope in the darkest of situations. "All hands," she called out, her voice steady and determined. "Battle stations." The Crucible. As the alien fleet closed in on the horizon, Captain Elena Reyes felt the weight of the galaxy on her shoulders. She glanced at Zokan, standing tall beside her on the bridge, his form rippling with a mix of determination and concern. "We need a plan, Captain," Commander Jack Harper said, his voice tense. "We're outgunned and outnumbered." Elena's mind raced. They couldn't win in a straight fight, but perhaps they didn't have to. "Zokan," she said, turning to the Vorax leader, "your people have been the apex predators of the galaxy for eons. How would you handle a situation like this?" Zokan's eyes gleamed with understanding. "We would not fight on their terms, tiny Elena. We would change the rules of engagement." A plan began to form in Elena's mind. It was risky, potentially disastrous, but it just might work. "Mr. Harper, prepare to broadcast on all frequencies. Lieutenant Chen, I need you to work with Zokan on something special." As the alien ships moved into attack formation, Elena's voice rang out across the void. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the UES Horizon. To all ships preparing to attack, we challenge you to single combat." There was a long moment of silence, then a chorus of confused responses from the alien fleet. Finally, the lead ship responded, "Explain yourself, human." Elena smiled. "It's simple. Instead of a battle that could cost thousands of lives, we propose a contest. Your best warrior against our champion. If we win, you stand down and agree to hear us out. If we lose, we'll surrender Zokan without further resistance." The alien commander's voice was skeptical. "And who would this champion be? Surely not you, tiny human." "No," Elena said, her voice firm. "Our champion will be Zokan himself." The comms exploded with outrage and disbelief. Elena held up a hand, even though the alien commanders couldn't see her. "Think about it. You came here because you believe the Vorax are a threat. What better way to prove your point, or to be proven wrong, than to face one in honorable combat?" There was a long, tense silence as the alien fleet deliberated. Elena held her breath, acutely aware of how much was riding on this gambit. Finally, the alien commander spoke. "We accept your challenge, human. Prepare your champion. The combat will take place on the neutral moon of this system in one planetary rotation." As the communication ended, Elena let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. She turned to Zokan, whose form was rippling with excitement. "Are you sure about this?" she asked. Zokan's mental voice was filled with determination. "I am. You've shown me a new way, Elena. Now it is time for me to show the galaxy what a Vorax can truly be." The next 24 hours were a whirlwind of preparation. While Zokan meditated and prepared himself mentally, the Horizon's crew worked feverishly on a secret weapon, a specially designed containment field that could be worn like armor, allowing Zokan to modulate his shape-shifting abilities with unprecedented precision. As the time for the combat approached, Elena found Zokan in his quarters, his form unusually still. "How are you feeling?" she asked. Zokan's mental voice was contemplative. "I am uncertain. For the first time in my existence, I find myself fighting not to destroy, but to protect. It is a strange feeling." Elena placed a hand on his shifting surface. "That feeling, that's growth, that's change, and it's exactly why we're doing this." The neutral moon was a desolate, airless rock. A temporary atmospheric dome had been erected for the combat, with representatives from both sides gathered to witness the event. Elena stood at the edge of the arena, her heart pounding as Zokan stepped forward to meet his opponent. The alien champion was a fearsome sight, a massive, armored being from a high-gravity world, its multiple limbs ending in vicious blades. It towered over Zokan, who had taken on a more compact form for the battle. As the signal to begin was given, the alien champion charged forward with surprising speed, its blades slashing through the air. But Zokan was faster. His form rippled and flowed, evading each strike with fluid grace. The battle raged on, a deadly dance of attack and evasion. The alien champion was powerful and skilled, but Zokan was unlike any opponent it had ever faced. One moment he was as hard as steel, deflecting blows. The next, he was as fluid as water, slipping through the alien's grasp. Elena watched with a mix of awe and terror. This was Zokan as he truly was, the apex predator of the galaxy. But there was something different now. Where once there had been only hunger and aggression, now she saw calculation, strategy, and most importantly, restraint. The turning point came when the alien champion, frustrated by its inability to land a decisive blow, overextended itself. In that moment of vulnerability, Zokan struck. His form surged forward, engulfing the alien's weapon arm. For a heartbeat, it seemed he would crush his opponent. But then, to everyone's shock, Zokan released his hold. He backed away, leaving the alien champion disarmed but unharmed. Zokan's mental voice rang out, not just to Elena, but to all assembled. "I could end this now. I could destroy my opponent, as I have destroyed countless others in the past. But that is not why I am here." He turned, addressing the gathered aliens directly. "You see us Vorax as monsters, as mindless killers. And for too long, that is what we have been. But these humans have shown us another way. They have shown us that true strength lies not in domination, but in cooperation, in protection." The alien champion, still reeling from the unexpected turn of events, stared at Zokan in disbelief. "Why?" it asked simply. Zokan's form rippled with what Elena now recognized as emotion. "Because it is time for a change, for all of us." There was a long moment of silence, then gradually, murmurs of discussion began to spread through the gathered aliens. Elena held her breath, hoping against hope that this gamble had paid off. Part 6. A New Dawn. The aftermath of the combat was a whirlwind of diplomacy and negotiation. With Zokan's unexpected act of mercy, the narrative had shifted dramatically. Where before there had been only fear and hatred of the Vorax, now there was curiosity and cautious optimism. Elena found herself at the center of it all, mediating discussions between Zokan and representatives from dozens of alien species. It was exhausting, often frustrating work, but slowly progress was made. "It won't be easy," she told Zokan one evening, as they looked out at the stars from the Horizon's observation deck. "Centuries of fear and mistrust don't disappear overnight." Zokan's mental voice was thoughtful. "No, but it is a beginning. My people have lived as predators for too long. Perhaps it is time we learn to be protectors instead." The idea took root and began to grow. Over the following months, a bold new initiative was launched. Volunteer Vorax, inspired by Zokan's example, began to work alongside other species as guardians and peacekeepers. Their unique abilities, once used only for hunting and destroying, were now employed to protect and save lives. It wasn't all smooth sailing. There were setbacks, moments of fear and mistrust on both sides. Some Vorax struggled to adapt to their new role, while some alien species remained skeptical of their former tormentors. But slowly, steadily, progress was made. Elena watched with pride as Zokan grew into his role as a leader and diplomat. The fearsome predator she'd have first encountered was still there, but tempered now with wisdom and compassion. 1 year after the fateful combat, Elena stood on the bridge of the horizon, watching as a mixed fleet of ships gathered in the space before them. Vorax vessels, their organic forms sleek and powerful, flew in formation with ships from a dozen different species. It was the first joint peacekeeping mission, a symbol of the new era of cooperation they had worked so hard to build. Zokan stood beside her, his form rippling with barely contained excitement. "I never imagined this," he said, his mental voice filled with wonder. "To fly alongside those we once hunted, to protect instead of destroy, it changes everything." Helena smiled, remembering the long, difficult journey that had brought them to this point. That's what exploration is all about, Zokan. Not just charting new stars, but discovering new possibilities, new ways of being. As the fleet prepared to depart, a priority communication came through from Earth Command. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared, his expression a mix of pride and amusement. "Captain Reyes," he said, "I've just finished reviewing your latest report. I have to say, when we sent you out to seek new life and new civilizations, we didn't exactly expect you to reform the galaxy's most feared predators." Elena couldn't help but chuckle. "Just doing our job, Admiral. Boldly going where no one has gone before, and all that." Admiral Chen nodded, his expression turning serious. "Well, it hasn't gone unnoticed. The Federation Council has a new assignment for you and the Horizon. We want you to lead a long-term mission into uncharted space, with Zokan and a contingent of Vorax peacekeepers as part of your crew." Elena's eyes widened. A joint human-Vorax mission into the unknown? It was beyond anything she had imagined. She glanced at Zokan, who was practically vibrating with excitement. "What do you say, Zokan?" she asked. "Ready for a new adventure?" Zokan's form shifted, taking on a more streamlined shape that Elena had come to recognize as his ready-for-action pose. "Always, tiny Elena. There are still many stars to explore, many new friends to make, and perhaps a few more predators to tame." As the communication ended, Elena turned to her crew. She saw in their faces the same mix of excitement and nervousness that she felt. They had already achieved the impossible once. Now they were being asked to do it again, on an even grander scale. "Well, you heard the Admiral," she said, her voice ringing with confidence. "Let's make history again. Mr. Harper, set a course for the uncharted sectors. Lieutenant Chen, begin integration protocols for our new Vorax crew members. And someone find Zokan a proper uniform, or whatever the equivalent is for a shapeshifter." As the Horizon prepared for its new mission, Elena took a moment to reflect on the incredible journey that had brought them to this point. They had set out to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations. Instead, they had found not just new allies, but a way to transform an ancient enemy into a powerful friend. The stars stretched out before them, filled with endless possibilities, and as the Horizon leaped into warp, carrying its unique crew of humans, aliens, and reformed predators, Elena knew that the greatest adventures were still to come. For in the vast expanse of the cosmos, they had discovered the greatest frontier of all, the capacity for change, for growth, for turning fear into understanding and enemies into allies. It was the essence of what it meant to be human, and now, perhaps, what it meant to be Vorax as well. As Zokan had said, there were still many stars to explore, many new friends to make, and who knew what other wonders, or challenges, awaited them in the uncharted depths of space. The journey was far from over. In fact, Elena realized with a smile it was only just beginning.